The number of criminal masterminds is increasing day by day. But what shocks us the most is that a few of them are in the police department. They are wrongfully convicting people and putting them into jail by planting evidence on them. Who are these police officers? How did they get sued? On number 3, we have Jamal True Love. I Love New York 2 was a reality show aired on Hoon, and Jamal True Love made an appearance on it. He was an actor as well as a well-skilled hip-hop artist. In October 2007, Jamal was convicted for the murder of Sue Kuke. The San Francisco Police Department concluded that Jamal was the one who murdered Kuke. Sue Kuke was their neighbor of Jamal. They had good relations with each other. Jamal would call Sue Kuke his friend due to his friendly nature. Jamal never thought that the San Francisco Police Department would charge murder without any reason. He believes that he is innocent and never did anything wrong. He was not allowed to talk to anyone. He couldn't connect with his lawyers. He requested to speak to the police officer or DA, but he was denied access to everyone. No one made themselves available to him. He felt as if he stepped into the biggest trap laid down by the police officers. The sentence he received shocked him to the core. He has to spend 50 years in jail. How can the police officers falsely convict him? Did everyone believe that Jamal commits such a grave crime? There was no evidence from the side of police officers to submit, no forensic evidence to show that he committed the crime, and no signs of physical injury on his body as proof of struggle. Priscilla Lua Lamega was the witness submitted by the San Francisco Police Department. Who is she? How is he related to Jamal and Kuke? Well, she said that she saw a shooting from her second-floor window on 23 July 2007. She said that she could identify who was the culprit, but when asked to identify the culprit among a bunch of photos, she failed miserably. This showed that she was lying the whole time. The police officers fabricated the story and falsely convicted Jamal. He had nothing to do with the murder of Kuke. Priscilla decided to speak against Jamal because she was given $60,000 to do so. She thought that she could start a new life with money given by the prosecution. She had no principles, and this led her to go against Jamal. The detectives had another suspect who could be the real murderer, but they didn't go after him. Instead, they jailed Jamal, who was innocent. He spent 6 years in jail when all the truth came out. He had a terrible life in jail, and he had no one to blame but the San Francisco Department. He never thought that such a conspiracy would be planned by the police officers, who he trusted and who he believed would protect him. He thought that the police officers must have mistook him for the murderer. But never in his wildest imagination, he thought that they planned this against him. Alex Reisman was his lawyer, and he expressed his disappointment in the integrity of the San Francisco Police Department. He also said that Jamal had to miserably spend years in jail thinking about what he did wrong to serve this. He was away from his family for a long time, and he missed out on his previous time with them. His career was destroyed, and he lost all his work network. His appeal was accepted, and the court overturned the previous decision. He was finally free in 2015. Jamal became an inspiration to all as he proved his innocence. He escaped from the trap of the San Francisco Police Department. He decided to go after those who jailed him. He filed a petition against the city of San Francisco, and the court found the detectives guilty of planning a trap against Jamal. The detectives fabricated evidence against Jamal, and they didn't disclose any exculpatory evidence. They were charged with both these offenses, and they were found guilty. This brought a lot of shame to the San Francisco Police Department. In 2019, Jamal received more than $13 million for being falsely jailed and for the misconduct and offenses committed by the detectives against him. He decided to end things here, as he has his whole life before him to live. He pursued his passion and made it albums. He also acted in the movie titled The Last Black Man of San Francisco. He wrote about his awful experience in jail, and he said that no amount of money could make him feel good about the precious years he lost. He missed his family, and he was not present for any of the family functions. He lost touch with his kids, and he wished to see them once again. He thought that he would be spending his whole life in the miserable jail, but he held on to his last hope. He fought for his life, and justice was served to him, even though it was delayed for 6 years. His family became happy that they had him back. His lawyer fought for Jamal day and night. They never thought that Jamal would see daylight, but they knew the truth was on his side. Do you find the story of Jamal Truelove inspirational? Have you ever heard about him before? On number 2, we have Richard Rosario. Richard Rosario was convicted of killing George Colasso. The murders took place in 1996, and he received 25 years of jail time. Well, the most shocking fact about the story of Richard Rosario is that he never committed this murder. He was innocent. He was falsely convicted and sentenced to jail. He had the perfect alibi as he was in Florida when the crime occurred. How can he be present at the murder scene when in reality he was 1,000 miles away? Rosario came to New York City when he was informed that the police officers were searching for him. He was pointed out by the eyewitnesses from a photo album shown to them by police officers. 2 eyewitnesses were sure, whereas the third one was not. Rosario thought that this was a false allegation and a mistake. That's why he caught the immediate bus to New York and boarded it. He never expected to be arrested and sentenced to jail for 25 years. In 2016, the lawyers of Rosario decided to give this case one more chance by failing an appeal. At the same time, 13 Alibis, a documentary series, was aired by NBBQ. More and more people came to know about the tragic story of Rosario, and they were all thrilled to know what will happen to the appeal. People started raising questions about why the 13 alibis were never investigated and what happened to the funds for the investigation. The story received significant media attention. The new district attorney was Mrs. Clark, who decided to reopen the case. She started calling the alibi witnesses and interviewing them to know the truth. Rosario finally was acquitted of all charges after 20 years. Rosario filed a case against the New York Police Department, and the court ruled in favor of him. The court decided that the constitutional right of Rosario was violated. He received $5 million for being the victim of the misconduct of one of the detectives and for the violation of his constitutional right. On number 1, we have Rodney King. In 1991, Rodney King was beaten by a group of police officers and caused severe injury to him. He was out on patrol for being part of a robbery. He was brutally beaten and kicked by these police officers for no reason, and their faces were caught on tape. The jury let go of the officers and declared that they were not guilty. This led to a massive protest and outbreak of a fight among the people. King spoke to the people, requesting them to get along. King and his lawyers approached the court again, and this time 2 officers were convicted for attacking King. They were jailed for 30 months. After several negotiations, King received $3.8 million for the medical expense and for being attacked by the police officer. Theodore didn't receive any payment from the force, and Timothy got dismissed. They were the other 2 police officers who attacked King. Do you think there are criminals in the police department? Do you think these police officers will be caught eventually? Let us know in the comment.